I'm Hazel, and this is how to level a fresh remix alt to 70 in just 2 hours. The premise of this method is to level an alt super quickly by A, accruing a bunch of these bonus XP items. We're going to get them from heroic dungeons and normal raids. B, gaining a bunch of XP buff threads to your alt cloak, primarily via normal raid. And then C, most importantly, loot those things in the correct order so that you can benefit from a highly XP buffed cloak at the time that those bonus XP items kick in. The tricky bit is that normally that XP item will never hit your bags. If you loot it, you've used it. That means that we need to leave those XP tokens on the floor and not loot them at all in those dungeons and raids so that they stack up in our mailbox until we have our cloak sufficiently powered up. You want to not loot them. I want to start out by saying that leveling an alt this way is absolutely cheesy, and this method may very well get fixed by the devs. However, even if they do fix something and they no longer let you do any funky loot ordering, the basic path that we're going to do here of heroic dungeons and normal raids is still a very fast way to level remix alts. If you are leveling up an alt army for the War Within, maybe making lots of characters for heritage armor, or grinding bronze by leveling alts, this is worth giving a try. Step number 1. On your fresh new alt, turn off auto loot. This is to prevent you from looting those purple bonus XP items until you are ready. You can pick up gear and threads manually if you like by opening up the loot window and going through and picking them out, but I've got an easier way to do that we'll get to in a bit. When I was doing this, I just left everything on the floor. Step 2, after you've skipped the cloak intro to get your cloak, and then the expansion intro to be able to queue for dungeons, we're going to do our first batch of heroic dungeons to level from 10 to 25. This is the longest section of dungeons that we're going to do all day, and it should be approximately 8 dungeons. Quick reminder, as you're doing this, make sure that you leave those bonus XP tokens on the ground. To make things easy, maybe just don't loot anything. Once you've hit level 25, it's time to run normal Mogushan vaults. Killing all of those bosses is going to give a bonus of 72% experience to your cloak. To get that XP bonus, you do need to loot the thread buff item that looks like this from the boss. Make sure you pick that up and don't pick up the XP bonus. Again, it's easiest to leave them in your mailbox, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but basically just run normal MSV. You can find the entrance to Mogushan vaults up here in the Kunlai Summit. Getting into a normal raid group while leveling should be pretty straightforward, but if you are for some reason not seeing any raid groups up, it is easy to list a group and find people to run with. All of the raids that are shown here in this guide should just fall over on normal. Next, step 4, after normal MSV, it's time for the second batch of dungeons. From 26 to 35, we're going to do approximately 6 more random heroic dungeons. Bringing us to step 5, once you are level 35, you can run normal Heart of Fear. Doing that is going to get you another 72% XP to your cloak. Again, you want to pick up your threads, but leave the XP bonuses sitting in your mailbox. You can find the entrance to Heart of Fear over here in the Dread Wastes. After Heart of Fear, we're going to do just 2 more final random heroics to get to level 40, and then it's time to run normal Terrace of Endless Spring for another 48% experience bonus to your cloak. The entrance to Terrace of Endless Spring, or Toes as it's sometimes called, is tucked between the Jade Forest and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, pretty close to the Alliance Shrine of 7 Stars. Altogether, if your cloak started with 100% experience bonus from having leveled a cloak on a character earlier, you should have at least 292, but most likely a bit more bonus experience on your cloak now. If this is your first ever character, or you haven't done the Infinite Power Cloak achievements yet by leveling up your first cloak, you won't have quite that much, but it should still be very strong. It is a really good idea to have at least Infinite Power 11 earned before you start doing any of this, because that's going to start your alts off with the strongest cloak possible. That's pretty easy to do. It's only 2200 threads, and your first character should get that while leveling these days, especially if you do a couple of dailies. At this point, you should have done 3 raids and a bunch of heroic dungeons, and it's time for the magic moment. Go to your mailbox, take one last check to make sure that you have all of the XP threads looted from there already. Make sure your cloak has a good XP bonus on it. And then you can loot all of those bonus XP tokens and get to 70 in one glorious powering up segment. Now, you may have spotted a tricky part of this whole strategy, which would be looting the XP threads that you need while leaving the bonus XP tokens on the ground. You can do that manually by just turning off auto loot, opening up the loot window, and picking those XP threads off of the bosses as you go, but with how fast all of the other people in your groups are running, that's gonna leave you kind of behind and in the dust. Enter Remix Mail Helper. This handy add-on adds a button right to your mail UI at the top here that will loot everything from your mail except for those experience tokens that you want to leave in there. I did this speedrun by largely just leaving everything on the ground as I went, and then picking up all of my loot from the mail using this add-on. This means you can get your XP threads, your regular threads, your loot, your gems, all of that good stuff without worrying about accidentally looting one of those bonus XP tokens too early. Just leave everything on the ground as you go, and then stop by your mailbox and use the add-on to select everything but the bonus XP from your mail. Doing this is fast on its own, but you can speed it up even more by doing those heroic dungeons and raids even faster. There are 3 main ways of making your dungeons go faster. The first method is using a level 20 trial account alt. That's where you add a trial account to your WoW account and then basically multi-box. It's not against the rules because you're not using any software to clone your inputs, but you run around like holy novaing things down on a level like 20 trial account priest, who's getting stronger and stronger because their cloak is powering up, but they're stuck at that really good scaling level, while auto-following it on your normal account with the character that you wanted to boost. The more you do that, the stronger that your trial account carry character is going to get, and the faster the dungeons will go. The second method is if you have a character on Remix that has upgraded gear and is very strong, and you don't mind paying for a second account subscription while you want to do this, you can use 2 paid accounts and then carry your boosted tunes with your existing max level character. The 2 linked accounts are going to share collection progress, so you could boost characters in your second account, and then use those second account characters to buy transmog and mounts that your regular account gets to benefit from. And then the third method for guaranteeing super fast heroics is asking a friend. If you are playing Remix in a guild or a community or just with friends, maybe somebody in there wants to spam heroics. It's a viable source of bronze, threads, and particularly prismatic gems for a 70, but more importantly, they get to do insane damage, look really impressive, and generally be super overpowered. What's the point of doing all this work to get your gear upgraded if you can't show off somewhere? That's the pitch that you give to your geared friends when you want them to carry your alts. This is the strategy that I took, and I had a great deal of fun while doing it. I would say once again that even if they do make a change so that you cannot just save up all your XP tokens, I still think that doing heroic dungeons and then the 3 raids at their earliest available level remains the fastest way available to level alts in Remix, and is a very good way to farm bronze. I also want to say, don't be nervous about doing the normal raids. They are absolute pinatas that go easily as fast, if not much faster than LFR, and you can get through all 3 of these raids on normal without learning a single mechanic. And also, just by virtue of being under level 40, the scaling means that you're going to be pretty strong and they're all on your own. And that is how I got Mollywobble the Mistweaver Monk to level 70, with 2 hours and 5 minutes played. Good luck leveling, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.